Welcome to our session number 16, and really appreciate for your time and the patience by the time that we are covering. And in this session, we are going to cover our part number 4, and which will be mainly around solution components. And before we are going to proceed further, there is a little bit again about the housekeeping stuff. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. And once again, really appreciate for your time and the cooperation. Just a note again, you can use the QA section to post your questions. And even if you have any query or if you have any point, you can also use the chat. It doesn't matter. Okay, so related to our content, first of all, there is a big announcement from our side. We have achieved a milestone of 100 subscriber in our channel. So first of all, there is a big upload on it. And all of our, you can say, the content is already available on our YouTube channel, which is the recorded session. And we are trying to cover most, you can say, more topics in terms of the collaboration, in the terms of the individual. We will keep posting and we will keep active this particular platform that we have already organized. And related to the presentation, all of the presentations are available on our OneDrive folder. Before we are going to proceed further, there's a small topics about the agenda in this particular area that we are going to cover, specifically on the solution component. We are going to cover 4 different segments. One is web resources, business rule, which is the second one, third, JavaScript, and the fourth one is the PCF control. And I believe so. From here, I am just going to give the control to Mr. Wahaj, and he can explain and he can have a deep dive session with us around all the solution component. And in the meanwhile, if you have a question, please feel free to ask it. Yes, Wahaj, if you can continue
I'll
from
share
here.
my screen. Just one sec. Okay. Okay, so you can see my presentation also, right?
Yes.
Okay, so guys, today we're going to cover web resources, business rules, JavaScript, and PCF control. Okay, so if you remember in the last session, we implemented a very small scenario where we wanted to capture customer tiers and we wanted to assign them plan. And plan is something that we created as a entity. I mean, it was a new table that we related with the account. Okay, we'll continue that scenario because I wanted to add some more features in that, like adding some benefits for each plan that can be related or shared with the account. So we'll start with that. But before, I mean, we dive into that, because meanwhile we need to implement some of the rules, uh, or you say some of the validations that are done through rules. We call it as business rules. Then there are some things which you cannot do with the business rules. Then for that you have to write JavaScript. And the JavaScripts are something which are again linked with the web resources. That's why I guess we should first review the or understand what are the web resources. By the way, these are all solution components we're talking about. We talked about table, we talked about fields, forms, views, and charts, dashboards. We not created charts and dashboards, but these are again part of the solution component. Similarly, we have business rules, web resources, then we have PCF controls, and then we have email templates and many more. So we'll cover whatever we can today. Okay. So let me go ahead and first start with the web resources. So web resource actually is what? It's kind of a file that we store in Microsoft's database or Dynamics 365 CRM or customer engagement platform. So web resource again is a file that you are going to store. The file is actually stored in the database. It is not stored in or on a disk. Okay. What kind of files are there? Let's say if you want to upload an image. Last time we created a table. If you want to create icon for the table or an image for a table, what you can do is usually what happens for any web application, you upload to a CDN or any location on the server image folder where you can refer it. But in Dynamics 365 or Dataverse, what we do is we create a web resource of type image where we upload the image. The file is converted to binary, or you could say base64, and then it gets stored in a binary format inside the database, which is again retrievable and reusable in multiple places inside the system. Similarly, let's say where your code files goes. So let's say I want to write a small JavaScript function that will be triggered on load of the form, or on as soon as I sorry, excuse me, I change a value on a particular field. So what happens? uh, I want to trigger a particular function in the JavaScript and do some logic. So what happens? That script where will store? That script again will be created in as a web resource where the type will be script. And there are some other types that we are going to explore also for the web resources. Okay, so as mentioned here, we can add HTML, JavaScript, or Silverlight, which is not used anymore, but yes, the support is there. And then there's some other types like image, XML. So yeah, so let me again. So what the how we'll go is we'll see one by one each component inside the system, so you understand the better. So I'll just go back to our environment here. So I am again in the studios, and what I will do is I'll expand here. So sorry, my solutions. Last time we created this subscription module. Now what I can do is I can create a new uh, resource, which is known as web resource. See, there are many components here. Uh, Again, we can create security roles, we can create reports, dashboards, but today's particular scope is only about web resources and business rules. So I'm not going to cover rest of the things. Okay. Okay, so I'll go here and click on the web resource. Okay, now if we see, I can select it. I can give it a name. So let's take an example. Let's say we created a benefit, right? I'll do one small thing. Sorry, I can let's say go to iconfinder.com. Anything. I'll just want it to upload an image. So what I can do is I can give it a name like benefit icon. Then this is the actual file name, you could say, or web resource. By the way, web resource is also a table in the backend, so it's just like a row that will be added with the name benefit icon, and whatever we upload will be stored as a blob or binary information. So you see these kind of uh, code, I could say, upload as a web resource. This could be JavaScript, CSS for your style sheets. Let's say if you're creating your custom controls and you want to refer to a particular style sheet, you can create a style sheet. Again, style sheet of type XSL, or you can create a HTML control also. Similarly, if you have some configuration data that you want to store, you can upload the XML with the configuration, or you can also use regex for your data like JSON objects or something if you need it. This could be again the sky's the limit. I mean, that depends on your need, how you want to use these features. Then there are some image formats like GIF, icon, JPG, PNG. So I can go ahead and choose any of this type and upload the images. Okay. Even if you see here we can show a particular logo. If you want to upload your company's logo, that too will be created as a web resource. Okay. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and as an example, I'll just take something from here. This is one website. uh, Anything free, guys. Okay, I'll take it. This is fine. I will download it as okay, let me just quickly, sorry guys, check what is the icon, sorry, plan. Sorry, I guess I need it for plan. I'll change it. I'll go free and anything. Let's take it. Well, I think let's stick with the benefit. I think this is fine. I just wanted to check. Again, the system will be a bit slow. Okay, again, I'll just to save time, what I'll do is let me create the web resource as because I just need to give you an example. I just don't want to spend more time on uploading images. So I can take any test image if I have a lot. Let's say this is fine. Something I just okay. This is too big. Sorry. So you have a limit, and you should follow the limit. Okay, I'll take this small icon. Okay, and I say this is audience. Give it a physical name. Okay, what is the format? If it is JPEG, I can select, okay, this is the JPEG image, or I know this is PNG, so I'm going to select the PNG. System is intelligent enough to guide you on that. And then, okay, we can also go language-based web resources. Let's say if you have multi-language environment, you are working on an environment where English or French is there, or English Germany or English Arabic is there. So if you have installed or enabled any language pack, you will be able to select it. So then it will help you to load. Let's say if you want to load some translations or some configurations based on a language, so then the APIs will help you to get the web resource values based on language. So for us this is fine. I'm just going to do, okay, I'll just save it. Okay, once I do this, you see this web resource is created. I can go ahead, sorry, my bad, this is tables. This one is created, the web resource, and every web resource has a unique link from which you can access it. So if I go like this and I say control, like this, I should see it can directly take me to the that particular file. So again, it can also be used kind of file storage for your applications, not your actual documents or something. But let's say if I'm creating a web control and wanted to refer this particular icon in that control, what I can do is I can do take this relative path and refer it. So that's how I will get this picture. Okay, so I'll go back. Okay, this is an example of image. Before we move ahead and explore others, see, any file uploading in the web resource is same way I have shown you, but why I have kept it in today's session is because I wanted to cover some business rules and JavaScripts that are only possible using web resources. So we'll take that example in a minute, but before we do, what I will do is okay, you guys stop me at any time because I know we have a limited time. So I'll try to just keep focus on whatever we want to cover today. But if you have anything you want to ask, you can do. Just stop me at any time. Okay, so then I'll use the web resources in one of the later topics today, and then you will understand it better. So before we go there, let me do one thing. Let's see what are the business rules. Okay, so business rules are some kind of logics you can implement, or you can apply some validations without writing any single line of code on a form of Dynamics 365 or Dataverse or any modular app in Dataverse. So again, it's very simple. Let's say examples are like you show hide a field, lock unlock a field, show a recommendation or validation error. These kind of things you can do using a business rule. Okay, let's take an example. Actually, we in one of the last sessions, I think we created one business rule also on plan. No, sorry, account. I'll give you an example here right now. I will go to the main account form where we had the business rules. Okay, here if you see, if I say is registered with DUNS, if I set it to yes, then the DUNS number becomes mandatory and unlocked. If I uncheck it, it is locked and it is not mandatory or required anymore. So these kind of rules you can implement using business rules. So the purpose is to make the form more interactive for users and for end users. So this will help them or guide them in a way that is more productive. Okay. Now how we create these business rules? Business rules are created per entity, right, for one table. So let's say let us go back here and go to our plan table. We'll play with the plan table today a lot. Okay, now let's say I can say the effective date cannot be something in the past. I'll take one example. If that is the case, the system should guide the user to select appropriate date or show a validation error. Okay. So for that, what we can do is I hope you guys remember, I'm already in the solution. I go to the plan table or entity. I will just go to the business rules section here. I'll click add business rule. Okay, let it load. It will open in a new window. Okay, now there are few very interesting things. Okay, first implement our simple logic so you understand. So business rule, this is the canvas, this gray area where these you see, this is the way to it's more of an overview or bird eye view where you see all of your, if your business rules is too big, you can easily scroll from here or navigate through very easily. Okay, then this is a text view of like if and else, like a pseudo code that will help you to understand very easily how your business rule works. So for instance, I say my first condition. Okay, it's always good to give some display names to your condition so it's easier to manage later. Like we add comments in the code, it's good we add some good um, markers here. So let's say I'm going to check uh, verify, or let's say I say effective date is not passed. Then on which entity, this is by default the plan which we have selected. Okay, and what we want to do, what is the rule? We can add multiple rules, but what is the rule? I say from entity you take a particular field called effective date and we say the value uh, is yes greater than. Okay, now I have multiple options. One is I specify a particular value, and if I do that, I have to give a value like it should not be greater than let's say 3, right? If it will be greater than 3, it we can do then if and else parse, right? But that is not the case here that we want, right? But for an example, let's pick it. I mean, we will see how we can play with it. We'll just learn. Let's go step by one. Okay, I click on apply. Okay, so what happens? We see effective date is greater than, if it is greater than today, we'll throw what we'll do. So there are two paths, two uh, paths to each you could say condition. Of course, like if like any if else condition, there is a true part, there is a false part. So I say using this add button I can add either one more condition if I want to. Similar, I can add more rules, or what I can do is I can go ahead and add an action or multiple actions. For example, I say if it is greater than that, all good, I don't want to do anything, right? Or what I can I don't want to do anything, or I can in the first part, if it is less than today, which is 3, what I will do is I will throw a error message. Okay, so what I will do is I will show error message on the effective date field, and I will say effective date not be in past or anything, whatever makes sense. I click on apply. Okay, again I can give a particular name to this throw error, this tab. Okay, you see this view again helps us to just peek kind of bird eye view, and this one gives us more of a pseudo code like what happens. I can add as many actions I want to here, as many as condition as I want to. I can do that. I can also take a snapshot if I want to share it with someone, or um, uh, sh- and let's say I add it in a documentation, that will be very helpful. Okay, so once the business rule is created, you have to save it and give it. Okay, there is a validation error. Let's see what is the validation error. Okay, yes, this is very good one. every what you call it, every condition should also have a true path. So what I will do is, here I throw error message, so I will do one thing. Here I will uh, just show a recommendation. In one case I will say, this is just an example. I can say uh, it's better to provide a date in future, something, just an example. And I'll take that an example, and I will say apply. Okay. Okay, we have two more errors here. We can see, no, actually there is some issue, guys. 1 second. Okay, you can delete a step if you don't want to. Just select the step and click on delete. So it will delete the
Mr. Wahaj, could you tell me
yeah.
which component is it? Because my internet was down for a moment, so I missed the part. Which component is this, please?
This is known as
Is it
business rules. We are working on the business rules.
okay? Is it a
Sorry, I can't hear you. Hello.
I think, Fasi, we lost your voice.
Okay, we'll start again. Sorry guys, there is one mistake from my end. So what happens, you should always have the true part, I guess, from the particular condition. So that's why I will do one thing. I will reverse this. If I will say if it is less than today, then create one error set show error message on here, effective date, sorry, effective date, which says date future. Apply and then save. Okay. By default, the business rule, I mean, you should also change the name. Like I can say, I can click here to rename it. I can say uh, effective date. So it's again, you can add some description for your documentation purposes. You can do that. Validate will just make sure you don't have any errors uh, in your rule. Let it save. Okay. Once it is saved, we can validate and activate. By the way, if you activate it, it will also uh, validate first and then activate. Okay, the more important thing here is okay, save as is very simple. If you have this, let's say, same rule you want to apply on the uh, expiry date, you can copy this rule, save as, it will create a copy, same copy, then you can update it. Or I mean, if you want to copy, it is very easy, you can do save as. Okay, scope is very important. So scope defines on which components this business rule will be available. For example, you have, we saw in the last example, we last session, we have multiple forms on the account. So if we want to only enable this rule for a particular form, we'll just select here form level access. If it is selected as entity, okay, there is another scope called all forms. That means it will be available to all forms, where it will not be for only single form. Entity means this will again run for all forms, but this runs on the back, on the server side, instead of the you could say on the front end. Okay, I'll explain, but let me refresh it. Maybe it's stuck. That happens on sometimes on the trials accounts. Okay. What happened? Okay, it will refresh. Okay, usually what happens, like any JavaScript was front end, technologies, the code is run on the browser engine, right? Behind the scenes, this business rules is also converted into JavaScript. So it runs on the front end. So let's say if you've added this particular validation on effective date, that will not work if you are creating a record out of this form or out of the UI. So there are ways like you can use API to create the record of a plan or account, whatever. So what happens in that case, this validation will not kick off. So if you want it to kick off, even when it is created in the background or by a process or an API call, I mean programmatically. So what happens, you need to select the scope as entity. In that way, the validation is executed on server level or backend level. So even if you are not on the browser, if you call, try to create or update record or using programmatically, using APIs or any other integration tool or Power Automate, it will still execute. If in that case you need, so these kind of rules you created as entity level. Okay, let me see what's the issue here. So I can show you the scopes. Please open it. I don't know what is going on. Let me see if this is happening with this one also, or okay, there was one business rule I created before. Oh, wow, we are there. Okay, so save is done. The business rule will only work once it is activated. Okay, so we're talking about scope. So it if you want to show it only on the run it on the backend, and you want to make sure the rule executes even when the record is created outside the UI, that means on the backend or programmatically, you need to select it as an entity. If you want to run it on the front end, but all forms, if you have multiple forms, you can select all forms. If you want to select it on a particular form, you can select that form name. For this entity, we have right now only one form, so that will shows only information form. But if you had more, it will show more, and you can select like that. So for me, this is okay. I'm going to do it on the all forms for now because I don't want it to be a backend validation. This meant to be only a front end validation. So I'll just go ahead and activate it. Once I activate it, then it will be applicable on the system. Otherwise, it will remain inactive and it will not apply. It will not check for any validation, any condition. It won't perform any kind of action. So it's just an inactive business rule that can be used later. Okay. Once it is done, I can now go. I'll just give it a refresh. Okay, you see, by default it showed me this error because the date is from before. If I select anything like this is fine. If I go again back, okay, because the check is greater than, it's showing me error. If I go more past, it will still have an error. Starting from tomorrow or anywhere in the future, this works fine. Okay, actually I'll just modify this rule to make it more sense. So what I will do is I will also say expiry date cannot be less than effective date, right? Because that should not be the case. This is fine, but if for now if I go ahead and I say I put it in the somewhere in the 2020, it will allow me, it won't say anything. So let us create one more rule just to understand how it works. I mean, just to recap what we did. Okay, I can do it in the same rule also by adding multiple conditions, but that makes things more complex. And then let's say if you don't want to, if you just want to deactivate, let's say from now on I say effective date can be in the past. I'm just assuming. So in that case, I will just what I'll do is I will just deactivate this particular rule, and I will keep activated the other one. So that's why it's better. You one rule should be done in one business rule. That's better. I mean, your one use or validation should be done in one business rule. So it can be splitted later, or it can be managed easily later. Okay. So I'll go back here. I'll go back to my close this plan table, business rules. This time I create another business rule. Okay, so I say that your, again I will update the condition. Expiry date is greater than effective date. Again, this is just a caption. This is not actual formula. Okay, what I can do is I can go ahead and I can say effective expiry date is if it is less than what last time we checked for a value. We can either compare with the value, a field's value, or a particular formula. We'll cover the formula also. Okay, if I go on to the field, I can select that particular field. Because it is a date field, it will only show me date field because date can be compared with only dates. If I select any other field other than date, let's say name, it will show me other are string fields. Right now in this table, I don't have any whole numbers or money values. In if that is the case, it will show me only the matching, you could say, or effective data types. Okay, I'll just take for this example expiry date. If it is less than the value of the field's value of effective date, I am going to add an action, I would say, which is show an error message. So error on which field? I will show on the expiry date and say expiry date must be greater than effective. I'll just apply it, so it's okay, fine. I'll save it. I will simply I will make it again all forms that suits my requirement. I will say activate. Should be done in a while. That's it, done, boom. So if I go back on the plan, it should show me a validation error. You see, that's how we do it. If I go ahead and select a value in 2023, let's say Jan 31, it's fine. It will allow me to save. Otherwise, it will throw error and it won't allow me to save. See, it will say no. This is the issues with your current data or form, so you need to fix it. Okay, so I'll make it 323, save. Okay, you can have multiple business rules on the same form or entity, as many as you want you can add. Okay, some more things we can see here. I can also show you some more actions just for your reference, but again it's, I mean, everything is mostly self-explanatory. Okay, once we deactivate it, okay, it's done. I cannot do any changes when it is activate. If you want to make a change, you have to deactivate and add your changes or modifications, then again activate it. Yes, meanwhile it is not activated, the rule will not work. So that is something we need to think of. Okay, so what kind of actions we can add? We can lock and unlock that we saw in one of our last examples. I can show you that rule also. We can show error message or validation error. We can set a particular field's value. We can set a default value if we want to. Let's say uh, based on any action or condition, I can add a value or I can reset a value. Let's say we have a controller where we, or let's say we have a number of days fields where we want to reset it to 0. We can do that. Then we can make the fields required or not required or optional, and set the visibility also. We can show hide it also. Okay, so again, all done without writing any code. I'll go back to the rule that we created for the account entity. I'll go to the business rules. That was, I believe, in a different solution, so I'll add it here. I just clicked on the add subcomponent. I'll just select this rule, add. Okay, now I click on the business rules, and then it should be there. Just let it load. I click it, it will open, and we'll review this rule also. So what we did last time, we said, okay, if the account is, or if it is hard to read from here, we can read it from here also. It's very handy. If registered with dunce equals registered, then what we do, we say set dunce number as business required and unlock dunce number. So we are unlocking the field. If the dunce number or sorry, in the else case, we make it optional or lock. So we can go ahead and modify this a bit. So what we can do is we are locking and unlocking the field, but we can also, if we want to, uh, set visibility. So I can say in this case, what we do, we unlock. So we show the dunce number field. We make it visible. In this case, actually one should be there, either unlock or lock or visible, but I'm just giving you one example, like how we can add one or more actions here. Dunce number, and we say make it visible. No, I say apply. That's it. Save. Again, this is, I'm just giving you, okay, here you will notice that I have more options in the scope. Entity, if you want to run it on a backend, all forms, if you want to run for all forms on the front end, then all the account forms will be there if you want to run it on a particular account form. So that can also be done. Okay, I go ahead and activate it, and we'll quickly check it once it is activated. Okay, it's activated. Then I will go to accounts. So this time, based on the radio button we have, it should also, okay, you see it's hidden, right? Previously it was visible but locked, but now it is hidden. Once I click on this, this is visible and required, right? Quite easy. Okay. So again, there are many more scenarios we can do uh, by making all these combinations. We can add multiple conditions, lock, unlock, making the fields required, and you can make a very big business rule. But I always suggest to make it simple and divide it. Like in the programming we do it, we divide each function into small, sorry, each logic into small functions, a very readable function. So only one function does only one job or one kind of action it does, right? So similarly, it's better to do business rules also. So in the same way, it's easier to manage, it's easier to control then. Okay, so what again, we can check conditions, we can set fields values based on the formulas. I see I have less time today, but if you want, let me know in the next session. I will definitely cover it, because otherwise it's just excel like formulas where you can set, let's say, we did one example here. Let's say we say as soon as this we select effective date on the plan, we should automatically add 1 year to the expiry date, right? In that kind of cases, we can use formulas. Otherwise, most of the scenarios can be done using field values also. Okay, so my purpose is to give you some overview, because each of these will have a lot, each feature has, I mean, we can do multiple sessions on the each feature also. So if you have any questions, do let me ask, otherwise post it after the session, and we'll cover whatever we can do in the upcoming sessions. Okay. So I would say, yeah, almost 40 minutes gone already. So business rules, let's stop here and we move it one step ahead, which is I'll bring back my presentation. Okay, so we saw business rules. The presentations are uploaded on the training folder. You can go ahead on these links, and these are very helpful if you want to implement and explore the rules more. It's very easy. You can go ahead, and if you have any concern, ask me or Adnan anytime. Okay, now the JavaScript. JavaScript is a client-side technology that we use to again enhance the user experience by creating controls or applying validations or any kind of business rules. Okay, now okay. By the way, business rules can sorry JavaScript we can also get data from other tables from APIs. We can do any data operations also. Okay. But before we go ahead, first let's understand why JavaScript. We covered the business rules. As we said, there is no code required here, right? Okay. Again, we saw some limited set of actions here, right? We can set a field, we can uh, we can show a field, show some validation errors, but there will be always more complex scenarios when you will came across. For example, hide the full section. You don't see any action here where you can hide a section or collapse a tab or apply a regular expression, right? These kind of things you cannot do. So whatever we cannot cover in the business rules, we have to write a JavaScript. Okay. Okay, how we do that? So let's go back to web resources first. Let me show you here a simple our plan table. Okay, so each when I open a form and I open this main form, sorry, this card form, my bad, I'll go back. Let me open this one. Okay, when I click on the form settings, sorry, my bad, not form settings, I'll go here and form libraries. Okay, there is a concept called form libraries. These form libraries are actually JavaScript files that you can relate or add on this particular form. Okay, why we do this? So any kind of JavaScript code you want to write for this particular form, you have to use a library, and libraries are actually web resources. Okay, so you create some JavaScript, upload it as a web resources, and add it to the form library. So what happens on the runtime once you click on, let's say, open the plan form or the account form, this JavaScript will also be loaded as part of the scripts for your page, and then based on your configuration on the events, this will be executed. Okay, so first thing first, let's define something that we want to do. Okay, first of all, when we can call a JavaScript, three, I would say, major events or three main events that we should remember. One is the two form level, uh, uh, two form level events are there. One is form load. Whenever your form loads, you can trigger one or more JavaScript functions. Then on save. When you save a form or a record, you can run some functions, JavaScript functions. Then the third is field level, which is to whenever a field value changes, we can also call a JavaScript function. Okay. First thing, let's do a very small, a very small thing. We all love a, I guess, hello world example, right? So let us try to show a hello world alert once we load our platform. So how we do it? Okay, first thing, I what I do is I normally use Visual Studio Code to write JavaScript. You can do it directly in Dynamics 365 also, but in my opinion, that is not very. What? How should I say? The editor is not that good, and it is not actually meant for that purpose. So that's why let us create a very basic JavaScript file. I'll call it control S, and I say E for dynamics and handler or anything. You can call it anything. I will save it as JavaScript. Okay. So using Visual Studio Code or any other editor will at least make sure you don't have any JavaScript kind of errors, which is hard to catch, So I will write a very simple function. So your code should be in a function. You cannot write open lines like where, sorry, my bad. Where, let's say a is equal to 10, alert a. So this should not be like this. So I have to start from a form, or sorry, function. So I can say function, write a function on load. Okay, and I can very simply say alert hello. I can actually, I should do the console dot log, but just to, I mean, make it more visible for you guys, I'll just do the alert. Okay, very simple. I did not do anything for now. Okay, I'm not sure if how many of you have any JavaScript experience, but for this I assume that you have at least little bit of knowledge how JavaScript works. So for people who don't know, this is just a function where I am adding some code to alert. It will show a dialog or pop-up where it will say hello world or hello wide world. Right? Makes sense. Okay. So now this code is ready to go. I can do one thing. First, I will go back to my solution. Go to web resources. I will create a new web resource. I will say more. I will say web resource. Okay. Here I say this is for plan handler. You could call it anything. Okay, the type is JavaScript, and I say okay. When you say JavaScript, you have to upload a file, so you can cause it cannot be empty. You have to click on upload file. Sorry guys for this. I will go here. I will say revealed in Explorer. I'll say copy it, and here I will just select say open. Here we go. That's it. Okay, now we have our JavaScript in place, right? Next thing is to relate it with the plan form, so we can call it on the plan form. So how we do this? We go to our table, we go to the forms. Okay, there is you can link the same web resource in multiple forms if you want to, but for now we have only one form. We'll go to information form, but you have to do this one by one. I mean, you have to open that form and then link it. Okay, click on this small icon here, form libraries, and say add library. Okay, once you say add library, it will start searching the web resources or JavaScript web resources from your system. There will be many because there are many provided by Microsoft or some other solutions, or even from your vendor, it will be there. So mine is easier to find, but otherwise you can always say plan or search for it by name, by display name, by file name. You can do that. Again, the trial, it is a bit slow. Okay, so whatever matches the plan, it comes back here. I say this is fine. Just click here. This is added. That's it. Okay, I can go ahead and directly edit it from here also. That's the beauty if I want to. So it will open it in a new window. Okay, let it load. I will come back here. Again, I mean, we have already the code. I just wanted to show you that you can also directly edit here, but I prefer using a code editor. Okay, now we have this code and we have one function here called onload. So what I can do is now I can go ahead and link it with the I can bind it for an event. Okay, let me just check it. Sorry, guys. Okay, sorry. First, see this. So, by the way, we told you that there are some features which are only available in the legacy UI. That's why it is there in the legacy UI. You could see I can click on the text editor. I can directly edit the code here also in like. But again, you see this is not very. It's not a rich text or a proper code editor. So always I prefer using Visual Studio Code. Okay. We'll keep it open. We'll just come back here. Okay, I don't know why I'm missing this, that how to okay, sorry my guys. The events are on the right side. Okay, you click on the event. You see I have on change here. What I will do is I will try to select the whole form. So I can do it on the let me go back to the form tree preview and click on the information form, right? Okay, so because the events will be displayed based on the control you have selected. So if I select the whole form here, I click on events. Now you see there are only two kind of events are there. One is on load and one is on save. So what we do is we say click on the event handler. We add a on load or we binding a function with the on load event of the form. So because there is only one library here or one web resource type of JavaScript, so it is showing one, otherwise it will show multiple. You have to choose whatever where your function is there. Otherwise it will not able to find, it will throw error. Okay. So we say here, what is your function name? It's called onload without any brackets. This is enabled. This means this will execute. If you uncheck it, this will not execute. So later, if you want to deactivate this event or this binding, you can uncheck it. For now, we'll keep it this. Okay. Execution context we'll see in a minute. I'll come back to this. This is one special kind of parameter you can pass your function, so you will have access to the other fields and controls of the form. We'll see this. Then you can also pass some comma separated list of parameters, some hard coded or configuration values if you want to. Okay, for this example, we are not going to do any of that. So I'll say done. That's it. Then I will hit save. I just want to make sure my web resource is published. So either I've published the whole solution because I've already opened the web resource. So I'll go ahead and publish this from here if I can. Yes, it's working. So just to save time, because whole solution will take more time to be published. Okay, this is done. This is done. Let me publish the form now. One second. Okay, done. Right now I can go to the plan. Actually, I do JavaScript changes mostly take impact after you do Control F5 or hard refresh, you say. Okay, I click. Here we go. That's it. As soon as I opened the form, we got this message, right? Okay. Now let's do something more interesting. This was just a message. Similarly, I can do on the save also. So I will hit the save. It will show the or whatever code I have done, it will run. Okay. If I refresh it, it will again show the message. Every form loads, your JavaScript will be executed. So whenever you write code, we need to make it in a safe way. If you are, let's say, want to set a fields value, if you've set it, try to check different conditions if it is already there, because on every refresh, you will get your code will be executed. Otherwise, it will always be returned. Just as an example, I'm telling you. Okay, done. Okay. Next thing that I want to show you is, which is very important, and the link also in the presentation, something we call it clients. This is actually known as client scripting. This particular concept we are discussing. So if I go to client scripting, Microsoft has okay. Anyone here has any experience with the HTML and JavaScript, like DOM or working with the DOM or getting fields and sections and tabs? Okay, if you have, I'm not sure, there is something called JavaScript DOM. So what happens? Every object that is to the DOM, and you can access it using by ID. So let's say if in the HTML file, if you have created an input with the name, the first name, so you can get it by using document.get element by ID, if that's reminds you something, and you can give it a name, so it will give you that particular control, and then you can uh, manipulate it, right? Or get its value. Similarly, Microsoft has provided some client library, one client library, which helps us uh, get access to the controls on the form, so we can play with the controls, we can show hide them, we can change their values, we can apply some validations there, or we can also call APIs to get more data or populate a particular field based on that data. That kind of operations we do with the client library that is Microsoft has provided. Okay, what is that client library called? We call it xrm dot API. Okay. If I show you one example here, let me actually search is Dynamics 365 XRM API. Okay, XRM.web API, this is one. And then the web API helps you to get the uh, data from other or same entity. It's a data call that's named as it's called the web API. That is not something we are going to cover today. So what else we can do is we can call some of the functions to get the controls values and or either the update the value. Okay, I'll do one thing. Actually, I wanted to show you this. 1 second. I have one very interesting example that will apply here. Okay, great. So this is one of my small things I've done. So what happens is I can do one thing. Let's take a scenario here from the plan. I say whenever user enters a plan name, I have a very small requirement. I want to convert these characters to uppercase. So user can only type uppercase letters. Again, this is something we cannot do using the out of the box business rules. So let's do it with the JavaScript in very quickly. So what we have to do is ideally what we need is we need to call this function JavaScript function as soon as this value changes. So it will fire that function. What we'll do, we'll get the value of this field, right? And then what we'll do is we will use JavaScript to convert it to uppercase, then again set the value here in this field. So these three steps we can do. Okay, so there is already some code I have written which I can take as an example, but before that I wanted to show you actually, sorry, the Microsoft changes the documentation very fast. There is one yeah, this one. Okay, so mm, every JavaScript function can receive something called execution context. So execution context is actually a parameter, it's a variable, it's an object where you Mike, whenever your event is fired or JavaScript function is fired, it will pass it there. So what we'll see here, for example, here I say execution context. So what the Dynamics 365 or Dataverse will do, it will uh, pass a value in this object. Okay. This object, I will just write some, pseudocode here first. So from this particular execution context, we'll get a form context. How we will see it. So form context, execution context will have information like who executed this particular, I mean the user information and the scope of the what is the entity, things like that. So if you want to any information like if you're writing a generic JavaScript function and want to understand where it was executed, who executed it, and things like that, we'll get it from execution context. Plus we'll get the form context. So form context it works is again another object that will give you some collections. What kind of collections? If we go back here, these kind of collections, we will have a list of controls. If I see here, uh, 1 second. Okay, this is the form context subject. We have a collection called attributes, which will have um, uh, access to all the fields on the form, only on the form, not on the entity, whatever is added on the form, like name, created on, whatever is there that you can access, and you can get its value, you can set its value. Okay, this can be either accessed like this, form context or data dot entity dot attributes, or there's a shorthand method also called data dot attributes. You can use that way also. Then controls are the actual controls where the value or field is stored. Okay, what kind of controls we have? We have tabs like this. Tabs are there. We can get these and let's say show height, collapse these. If we want to, we can play with the section. This is whole section. We can either uh, change some of the controls settings here, like visible and height. These kind of things we can do with the control collection. Okay, then there are some more things like navigation. We can also navigate to another form. We can navigate between the tabs programmatically. Let's say if user changes some value in the effective date, and after that I want, if I have another tab, let's say date configuration, I can go to automatically that. These kind of things we do with the navigation. Then there are some UI features related to quick forms. This we'll cover later, not today. Again, there are too many things here. You can play with the tabs and sections I said. Okay. Our today's example will just cover the attributes or the controls. Controls again, if you want to change the control level properties like visibility, like their requirements or things like, you play with the controls. If you want to play with the values of the fields, you play with the attributes. Okay, again, this is, again, I would say it's a big concept, and this documentation is very good. You can go through that, whatever is available in this client of API object model. You could should go through it and you should understand what is there. So as I said, there are multiple contexts. We can get execution context, form context, grid. If you are working with the SIP grids, not for today's scope, we can do that. Then there's some API access also available if you want to get some values. Again, that not for today. So today we'll work with the form context. Okay. So again, this documentation is very good. I'll just show you some examples. What we do is we can get attribute values. We can show height. Yeah, I was looking for this. So this is the form context. We have two main nodes under form context. One is data, other is UI. As suggested, data is to work with the data level things like getting or setting the attribute values or field values. You can also play with the processes. Processes means if I open an account or sorry, opportunity, you remember the business process flows. If you want to work or change the stages or data under the stages here, let it load. This is called business process flow. If you want to play with that, that will be done with this one. Okay, then under UI we have controls, we have form selectors. If we want to switch between multiple forms, we want to open quick forms, we want to change navigations, then we want to, again, if we want to change processes, control level properties, we'll do it with the UI, and we can also hide, show tab sections, controls, etc. Okay, let's stop it here. So what I'll do is, for now, our plan is to what? Plan name, value changes, we convert it to upper and we set it back. So three steps: get the value, uh, convert it to upper using JavaScript, and then set it back. So how we do it? First thing, we need to get the form context from the execution context. This context, it will be passed by the form itself. We don't need to do anything here. I will copy this code just to save the time. See, we get the form context. I just need to make sure this one and this one is same, right? Okay, so this will give me form context. Now using form context, uh, I can copy, I can access to the fields. So like this, I can get attributes. Okay, I'll go back here and show you how you can also understand it. It's very simple. You need to write form context and get or set attribute, give the attribute name and either get or set value, whatever you want to do. So I'll take it as an example. I go back here. Okay, what I will do is I will copy paste it. I will say where plan name. I'll copy it from the call num. I get it was D for D underscore name or plan name. I'll just double check it and gets its value. Okay. Once this is done, I have one function in my blog to convert it to caps. Yes, like this. Two caps and how we do it? Okay, that's it. Two uppercase. Wow, very good. So I will say I will use this. Sorry, I'll copy this again, paste it. Or let's do one thing. Where or because it's already a variable, I can do it in the same name dot. Sorry, what's the function name? It should be called uppercase because I don't want to make any mistakes. That's why I'm copying and I don't want to waste your time just because of a mistake. So this will set the plan name. This is just a JavaScript function that is available. So I can do is I can write this value back in the field. I will say set value instead of get and paste it. That's it. It's done. Okay. Now I save it. Before I do this change, I will do one thing. I just wanted to make sure the plan name is the one I copied. Okay, you click on a field, click on this small icon, information icon, and you copy the schema name. Schema name is something you need to refer in the actually the logical name. Sorry, my bad. Schema name is used in the APIs. We'll see it later. The logical name. So we paste it here. We make sure this is the same. Otherwise, we'll get an JavaScript error on our form. Okay, one more thing. This is not on load. This is I'll keep it as sorry guys. I will keep it as on change on plan change. Now I go ahead and copy this. I go ahead into my web resource text editor and I was just straightforward replace it. Come on. Meanwhile, I'll do one thing from my information. I will remove this onload event because I don't need it. I can delete. That's it. Save. I can come back here. Come on. Why it's taking too much time? Okay, I'll open it again from here. From libraries, this, edit. Let's wait for a while. Just one sec. This happens because of the trial account. There are very less resources available on a demo or trial account. So let it load. Let's see if I can try from the new interface. This is also slow. Web resources, plan handler, edit. Yes, this will also work. I can upload the file again, so it will update. Save. This one, can I publish? Yes, I can publish only this. So this, I'll just close this one. This is working. This is published also. Great. I go back here to my plan forms. I will open information form once it loads. Okay. Come on. Okay, it wants us to wait, so let's wait. Okay, let me do a refresh. Okay, we're back. Let's go to table, plan, forms. It's still loading. Okay, we got it. Information. Okay. Okay, last time we selected information, went to events, and applied the event. Now we want to do it on a field level. So either you can go from here and click plan name, or you just directly click here on the plan name, click on events. You say the only one event is available for type of for fields, that is on change. Okay, like there are no other HTML events available like on hover or mouse leave. These kind of events are not available, only on change. So what is the function name we want? This is called on plan change. So I'll give it a function. Okay. See, we are receiving here an execution context. So we should make sure that we pass execution context as first parameter, because if you have multiple parameters in the function, there will be always execution context will pass to the first parameter. Okay, we're good to go here. Again, save. Once it is saved, we'll publish like this. Once it is published, we'll go ahead here and we will do a refresh. Okay, looks like we got it. Just do a hard refresh, Control F5. Okay, let me open this plan. Okay, and I'll just change the value so the event is executed. It will only be executed once you leave the field. Okay, interesting. It did something. I got one error. It says plan name is not defined. Fine. So in that case, I'll just go back here. Why it is not defined? This is the name. Form context dot get attribute dot get value. Okay, let's do one thing. Okay, good. You can see how we can do debugging also. I can console log plan names value here, and this could only happen if this name is not correct. We'll see. Okay, so I will go ahead and update this web resource. Let's go back to the web resource because we need to update the code. Edit. Root file and handler. Save and do a publish. Done. Okay. Control F5. Okay, what I will do now is I will open the DevTools so I can see the log in the console. So open DevTools. I'll keep it, sorry, on my other screen. I'll show you guys what it is there. So it will show a lot of information. So what I'll do is I will clear console and I'll take it to my other screen. I say prime member, tap save. Okay, I got the details. I can also, okay, so it seems like I am not able to, I am able to get the name. So that means there is some issue with this plan name. Did I make any mistake? Okay. Let's do one thing. Okay, I got the issue. Sorry, guys. Let's do one thing. I will skip this part. I don't want to waste you guys more time, and I will directly do it here. Work. One second. So, okay. Now again, edit, upload the file, save, and we'll do a publish. Publish. Done. Control F5. Again, I will check. Prime members. Okay, what's the issue? Plan name is not defined. Why I'm getting this? Active won't change. On plan change. This looks okay. Plan name is not defined. Where is the plan name? One second. I will again open my DevTools. I will clear the console. I will change value and see what is printed in the console. I got prime member, or I'll say prime member 11 tab. I will see I got it. So if I have the value,
Just one comment here. Actually, I think there is a name mistake. Sajjad,
okay,
correctly
this
mentioned it
one,
here.
this one. Sorry guys, I had that small e here, right? This one.
Yes. Thank you,
Okay,
Sajjad.
that happens with the. Thank you, Sujat. Actually, this happens a lot. Don't worry. This is the only thing where we think we are earning our money in the right way. Because this wastes a lot of our time. Because JavaScript is something where you don't get to know these things very easily. So, yep. Thank you, Sujat. By the way, these names are also case sensitive. If your case is not correct, you will again get similar errors, and you have to go again and again to understand what is happening. Okay, prime member. Okay, here we go. Right? Again, just one example. The JavaScript, you can do a lot more. You can apply regular expressions. You can, again, we'll in another session, what we'll do is we will call the APIs to get more information from, let's say, account table or something, and we'll uh, update the information on this table. Or let's say if I go back to the accounts, okay, and I say as soon as a plan is selected for this particular uh, for this particular account, I want to copy some information from the plan. From the plan table. So in that case, we have to call the APIs. Again, this is very basic example. You can do a lot more with the JavaScript. You can use jQuery. You can also create some of the resources. I can also create, by the way, HTML resources, web resources, and show it on the form. But again, I think we have already taken half an hour more. So, Adnan, I guess that should be enough for today. We covered a lot, and maybe we'll continue again with some more complex examples around web resources and JavaScripts, and especially using the API. So, what do
Sounds
you
okay.
say?
Sounds
Yeah.
okay. Just I think there's only one part is remaining because JavaScript again is a big topic. So we'll again continuing this particular part. So what I will suggest, just we can have a
Okay.
quick discussion on the PCF control, how
Okay,
it
guys.
looks
So
like, and what
PCF
are the
control.
rules.
Yeah, I got it. So PCF control is something called Power Apps Component Framework. How you build or create this control? There is this component framework where you can download. This is called a CLI. CLI, the command line interface of Power Apps Component Framework. You can create React and Node.js based projects. You can create your own controls. But again, that is a way advanced topic, and we are not going to cover in this series itself. Okay, that's a totally different topic. So what I will do is I will just show you this particular form controls library where many users and even Microsoft uploads the controls that we can add on our on our forms. Okay, so again you can learn here what is a PCF control, but what I will do is I will go and say PCF control gallery just to show what kind of controls you have. Right now you know. So okay, the each control is divided into categories. Let's say if I select a particular category called text, I can see all the controls that works on a text field. Okay, for example, one example I can show you is uh, see this one. This let's see this drop shadow. Right now, your normal field looks like this. If I sorry, go back to the system like this. If you want to add a drop shadow, so what you do is you, because there is no way we can update controls of these fields. We can only change certain properties like show, hide these fields, these kind of things. But we cannot change format of the field. So in that case, we have to either use a pre-existing control, okay, or we can create our own control. That's up to us. Like this, if you want, I can add it on my, I can install it on my model driven app or Dataverse, and then I can use this control. How we do this? I'll just quickly, I won't go to more details, but what I will do is I'll just show you one example. Actually, we did it last time, by the way. I'll just explain it how we did. I'll go to the forms account. There are some out of the box PCF controls available here inside Dynamics 365. But if nothing suits your requirement, you can always go ahead and download it from the PCF gallery, or you can build your own also if you into these kind of things. Sorry, come on, my bad. I'll open this form. Okay, I've created one field here called we saw it last time, called is registered. Search for it. This one. Okay, this is a two options kind of. It's a flag actually. If you see, so if I go ahead, save and publish this form, it should not take much time, I guess. Please publish, and I go to plan. So this was on account. I open the account form. I open the account main form. I should see this one after control F5. Okay. You see, this is shown as like this, as a drop down, not yet to register, right? Let's say I want to show it as a radio button. What I do is I go to a particular control, I click on the components. These are your PCF components you can attach to this control. I click here and it says I have these kind of controls available. So I say, yeah, toggle looks okay for this particular control. I go ahead, this is pre-installed or out of the box controls available. I click here. I tell where you want to show it. Do you want to show it web or also on the mobile app or tablet? For me, it looks okay. Everywhere I say save, done, sorry, save, and then I will do a publish. I will do a publish quickly. Similarly, while it is getting published, I can do one more thing. Okay, I guess it's done. So I'll refresh it. Now it should show me in form of a toggle button, not a radio button. Sorry. I can also find. See, there are some more kind of toggles, colorful toggles also available. If I want, in that case, I can go ahead here. I can download this like this. It will download a package for me. Okay, and okay, it will actually give you full instructions how you can download it, how you can configure it. I will just take, okay, this is the source code. I don't need the source code. I just want to install it on my environment. So I go ahead and download this particular solution. This is actually a managed solution. I told you the managed, whenever you are creating controls or products for others, you distribute it in a managed mode. So I did it already. Okay. Now if I go down here, you see this one comes as a toggle button. Now very quickly, if I go here and come to the, go back to the Dataverse out of my solutions, I can go ahead and import that particular solution also very quickly. Click on downloads. This is the solution. I go next. This is the beauty of solutions. I mean, how you can import and export. It will take a while. It will show me the components, what is there in the solution. Okay. Okay, I just wanted to show you how this can be done, because this, there is a bit of configuration, a very small configuration I have to do. I have to enable this control on entity level, I mean the table level also. Then I can relate similar to what I did with the choosing a toggle button. I can also choose this particular control also. Let me see if it is getting ported already. Just a sec. Meanwhile, guys, you can, I mean, type in any questions you have, or you can start asking questions on whatever we have done today. Okay, this is still in progress. It's not imported. It will take a while, depending on the bandwidth from the backend resources. Yes, it is still being imported. Okay, Adnan, please, if you can start taking the questions. Meanwhile, I'll try to show it if possible in today's timeline.
Sorry, guys. Actually, I was I wasn't
Mute,
muted.
yeah.
Yes. Guys, if you have any question, please feel free to ask, or I'm just going to launch some questions.
Yes, please. I guess you should launch. Me in the meanwhile, I'm working on this.
Yes, sounds perfect. So, the question number one, it is going to appear on your screen. What is the following solution component from the list? Means what are the, you can say, the solution component? Either table, processes, report, dashboard, apps, and you will find another one which is in the end is all. So, what do you think? What is the solution component all about? So, solution components, actually, these are not tables, these are not processes, means individually you can talk good. Solution components are all of them. Means there could be, you can say table, processes, report, dashboard, apps, whatever the, you can say the areas that you are working within the solution. These all segmented in a solution component. So the right answer was all. Okay, so next question. It's going to be start appearing on your screen. Which statement is true for web resources? Your time starts now. These are the tables used for managing dashboard. These are the virtual web files that are stored on D365, CE, CRM, Dataverse, or God knows. Perfect. All our answers are correct. That's great. So everyone is listening very carefully. Okay. And there was the one we received is used for managing dashboard. No, web resources. It can be used only for, means they are only the, you can say, virtual web files. So whatever the files, the image, scripting, and as well as the files for the component that you're going to use as a virtual storage on the CRM or Dataverse. These will be managed under the web resources. Now, the third question is going to start appearing on your screen. What advantages can be taken from business rule? We can write custom logic to perform validation and checks, etc. To apply logic and validation without writing code or creating plugins. Wallah, honestly, I don't know. Or to store, manage, table, and fields. Yes, one answer is wrong, and other are 80% are correct. Business rule, it gives you the low code and no code environment where you're just going to put the logic and you're just going to apply. So whatever the objectives that you are going to achieve, it is going to minimize the custom code logic. So instead of validating all the information through the JavaScript, you can do it on the business rule. It will reduce down the workload, and also it will act as same as you do on the JavaScript. JavaScript is more, you can say, comprehensive. Whenever there is no option is available that can be achieved on the business rule, then we normally option in for JavaScripting. But otherwise, for the business rule, let's say in kind of the general validation, population of the fields, setting up the default values, we normally recommend to go with the business rule. Now, what we have in our session next, what did you learn today's session? So your time starts now, then start taking questions. Perfect. So all people are with us, and answer is correct. But there is also new. So I can see the answer, which is, you can say, the word bus. It's great to hear. Yes, one question, Wahaj. Does JS also works in Canvas app?
No, I guess no.
Yeah, I
No,
have the same opinion.
no. Because
Because
Canvas
it
apps
is
are
not there, but you
mostly
can control by FX language. It can be doable. It's just like a jQuery, or we can say JSON scripting that we normally put it there. It's just like a code that we need to put, but it's not a JavaScripting, right?
no, and the Canvas apps are mostly used in the mobile or tablet, so that's why mobile tablets we don't use JavaScripts. So they have their own way to do similar things. They have their own formulas and FX language. So similar thing is doable, but not in JavaScript.
Sounds okay. Sounds okay. Perfect. So I think we can conclude and we can take this PCF control in some other session.
Yeah, I mean, I
Is it
just
okay?
need to install, configure, and show, and system is a bit slow. It's taking
Yeah, no
more
problem.
time.
So we can
So
showcase in the
yeah,
next session, or whenever we are going to conduct the customization one.
yep, yep, yep. But I mean, they got the
Perfect.
general idea like how this control works, and this is way advanced uh, than the normal customization. So first, yeah, let's polish the skills on the customizations and development, and then move to the custom controls.
Exactly, exactly. You are right. Okay, so what we have learned today, it's just like a take home for today. We have went through, and Wahaj, he explained very well about the solution component, which are more related to the web resources. We have also seen how the business rules can be, you can say, configured. I mean, what are the advantages we can take it, as well as how to use the JavaScripting, and then a little bit about the PCF controls. And there are some, you can say, the links are available, so you can check it out and you can continue your learning and the finding from these provided link. And also you can visit docs.microsoft. You will find a lot of features, a lot of, you can say, the details about the component, and also all of the SDK details that are available over there. Now there is only one part is remaining, which is the final poll for this call. So we would like to know about how do you rate today's session. Your honest opinion will be appreciated. Okay. So there was one question I see on
Yes,
the
yes, I saw
screen.
it. Hasib, yeah. So definitely we'll do more because debugging with JavaScript takes It's very important. So what I did today is very basic, which was console.log, but we can always use add a, if you worked with the JavaScript, you can add a debugger tag. So in that way, you can debug line by line also. So it will, using developer tools, you can just get into your function, and one by one, you can execute the functions or the lines, and you will understand where is the issue. You can evaluate the values, evaluate the functions, expressions, and so on. So that can be done, and I'll show it in maybe in upcoming sessions. Sure. No.
Perfect. So, about the next week plan. Next week we are going to take off because there are a lot of future assignment that we have to take care. Me and Wahaj, both we are going to busy for the next week. So we thought to take a break on our regular session, and we will be continuing our regular session from week 3rd of February. Okay, and the dates and the topics will be shared accordingly. And this is what we just need to shuffle some of the topics, and we have to realign with them with our schedule. So next week there will be no session, but what we are going to do week after means where you can say on the Sunday, not this Sunday, next Sunday, we are going to cover on Feb 13 is a Urdu Hindi session. It will be just like a generic. We are just going to revisit and you can say uh, rewind all of the functional scenarios. And then another week, which is on Sunday again, Feb 20th, we are going to cover the customer service. So these sessions will be the 4-hour sessions. And if you need to know about the function expert in a very concise language, you are most welcome. And it will be just like exciting, or there will be a lot of fun will be there in terms of the sales management and as well as in the customer service management. Perfect. So I think we can conclude our session on a good note. And from here, we are signing out for this week, and we will catch up after a week. And really appreciate for your time and effort. And may God bless you.
Thank you, Nan, and thank you, everyone.